So in retirement, you made some pretty significant changes to your diet. What brought that on?
I did?
Yeah, you went on to the keto thing and you lost a ton of weight, and any particular thing that brought that on?
Well, I was just getting too heavy, and I could see it. When I was 205 pounds and 210 pounds, I was at 210, 213 pounds. It was not very easy to tie my shoes anymore. So, yeah, things like that. I was getting huffing and puffing a little bit more. Probably too much weight. I ended up having to get orthotics. So I could see, and generally, I knew it was better. It was time for me. It was getting older, and the belly was growing, and I just had to do something to keep my health up. And I knew I would feel better, and I did. I do feel better.
Yeah.
I still, to this day, my only real problem, I have a bum knee a little bit, and I had to wear orthotics. And my hearing is going a little bit. I'm wearing glasses. There's all kinds of things that you can compensate for that. But I'm pretty healthy still to this day. I'm 78 years old, so.
Yeah. And living healthy, like, I guess a lot of the pattern that you would have seen growing up would have been a lot of smoking and drinking and just kind of abusing your body in general. Anything in particular that, like, as a youth, did you see that and say, I wanted something better?
The youth, my mom and dad smoked all the time until they got into their late years, 60s, and then their brain kind of kicked in and said, oh, this is not good for me. But I was watching my parents smoke all the time. In fact, I used to roll cigarettes for my dad by hand in this special machine and paper, and they'd cut them up and put them in a box. He had a little, like a Sucrets box that he put these cigarettes in, and he'd take to work. I'd make his cigarettes every night. It was one of my little things I did for my dad, and I'd give them to my mom too. But when I turned 16, and even before I was 16 to 15 and a half, my friends smoked too. And so I would puff a little bit on the side, and my parents didn't know it. And when I turned 16, I said, Mom and Dad, I got to tell you something. I'm going to smoke from now on. I didn't ask permission. I just said, I'm going to smoke from now on, so just to let you know. They did, and they knew they were smokers, so they didn't have a lot to say that you shouldn't smoke or that kind of thing. So I've been smoking since I was 16 years old up until I joined the church in Brampton. Yeah, so I smoked for 20 years. No, 16, 36, less, maybe 30, 25, 19, 20 years, roughly. And then I finally smoked because I joined the church, actually, and I used to drink quite too. I didn't drink heavily, but I was drinking beer and gin and vodka, and I was a social drinker mostly. But at one point, I was drinking so much before I joined the church, and I was getting a little depressed because I'd come home from work and there's barely enough money to cover this, and the car would break down. There's repairs I couldn't afford. And anyhow, I started drinking more. I'd come home to have 5 or 6 beers and wouldn't eat till later, and I could see myself, drinking way too much. So thank goodness the missionaries came along and the church came along, and one of the commitments was to obey the word of wisdom, which is forget drinking, alcohol, tea, and coffee. And so that was been my lifestyle since I joined the church.
Yeah, makes sense. At some point so you're an avid golf lover. At some point you started developing pretty serious arthritis in your finger, which started to affect your game, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I loved golf, and I just was never that great at it, but boy, I just loved the challenge of golf. The most difficult game in the world, I think. And so I've been playing for many years. And as the years went by, my dad had arthritis that runs in the family, and I also had a brother of mine had thyroid problems as well. It runs in the genes. But my dad had a lot of it. His knuckles were just big and swollen, and so I inherited that from my dad. And so as the years went by in golf, and I wasn't watching my diet maybe as well as I could have. Sugar is one of the things that really triggers that kind of swelling and osteoarthritis is what I had. I still have. So at one point I couldn't hardly hold the club and play golf anymore. It was way too painful. I tried different grips. I even thought about using, our prosthetics that would, because I see people that were playing golf that only had one hand, and they were maybe the other hand was cut off at the elbow, but they could play with one hand, and I tried that wouldn't work. And I saw other people wearing prosthetics that were playing golf that could grip to the club so they could make a swing. And I was looking at that, maybe that's where I needed to go if I wanted to ever continue playing golf. And so I tried all kinds of different things, different drugs and different creams and stuff. Nothing really worked well. Ended up, my brother visited me, Richard, my next youngest brother, visited me he was living in Ottawa, Ontario. And I came to visit him actually. And he introduced me to this stuff that's called
Golden paste.
golden paste, yeah. And it's made, the main ingredient is a black pepper and turmeric powder and a few other ingredients, oils and coconut oil. Anyhow, he said, try this. He says, because I had problems a little bit too. And if you want to continue golfing, this may help you. So he made me a jar of it when I visited, and I took it home. And he said, it won't happen overnight. He said, maybe take like 2 or 3 months even. But take a spoonful every day, and I did. And by golly, he was right. After 3 months, I could do this, which, there's one thing that's not working too good because it's fused up here. But yeah, I couldn't do that for years. The most I could do was like this. I could close my hands with the arthritis. And after I had been on this golden paste that he introduced me to, man, things loosened up. I was able to play again. And I've been using that ever since. I had it this morning.
Cool. So you have it every day?
Yep.
Yep. You make it yourself now?
Yeah, and I make my own now, but my brother's passed away, so